You want to start with a joke?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're back,
Go.
episode 2.
Episode two. Back
Okay,
in.
so what's the best part of an open house?
I don't know.
The
It's not
snack.
close. Snacks.
What's the second best part?
I still don't know.
Leaving before your agent asks if you're pre-approved.
Yeah. No, that
Those
makes.
darn realtors always asking.
I I don't normally ask when I did my open houses. I
No,
sometimes do if I think they're actually serious, but if I don't, if I think they're like glancing and like they're window shopping, but I guess you never know unless you ask.
that's true. Yeah, I'm the same as you. I usually only ask if they show genuine interest. Otherwise, I just let them browse, or if it's just a neighbor, that's cool too. Doesn't matter to me.
Well, and also like, cause when I was doing a lot of open houses with the other agent in our office, um, it was during the pandemic, and there was a lot of window shoppers. So I didn't know if it was worth the energy to like get more details other than just try and develop some rapport with the people that showed up at the open houses.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to get into it?
Yeah.
November 2025 market stats, real estate update.
Yes. November 2025.
So I ended up pulling up some information from Treb. So every month Treb releases the stats for Toronto and the GTA, or pretty much the GTA as a whole. So I guess I'll read off some notes and then we'll discuss it.
Sure.
So the overall market trend for November 2025, GTA home sales are down 15.8% year over year. The sales were 5,010 versus 5,947 last November. Buyers are still waiting on the sidelines for better economic signals, and the average price came in at an average of 1,039,458, which is down 6.4% year over year.
And is that the average price for a condo, house, townhouse?
Exactly, yeah. So all home types across all segments and across the entire GTA.
Okay. So a
That
million.
that's a good question because a lot of people actually ask me that, and it could get confusing, right? So
Well, sometimes people misrepresent, like they're talking about condos and they say the condo average or they say the overall average when obviously, when you have a client who's looking to purchase a specific property, you want to compare it with the exact type of property that they're looking at. So,
apples to apples, not apples to oranges.
exactly, like for example, based off your average of 1,030,000 something, I would expect the average of the condos to be less than, and I would expect the average of the houses to be higher than 1,030,000.
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely. Okay, so why sales are down? Higher borrowing costs plus lower consumer confidence. New listings also down 4% year over year, meaning sellers are hesitant too. And month to month, sales dipped slightly from October. So I'm definitely finding, uh, with my personal network of people and buyers looking, there's definitely lower consumer confidence in the marketplace right now. I don't know
Oh,
if you're finding the same thing.
no, there's definitely lower consumer confidence, man. It's
And it relates back to the higher and borrowing cost. Typically, when I'm speaking to people, they're saying, "Yeah, we want to buy, but we're waiting for the rates to drop." I get that a lot recently.
Well, I think right now all the fear of missing out has been taken out of the atmosphere, and we're really only getting the serious people, and the serious people really only I feel I don't know because I don't have too many clients at the moment. It would be they're looking for their dream house or their house that they could settle in or their first place or just I guess a deal, but that's anyone at any time. And I think right now they're still not at the place necessarily where they can get that or they're confident in that. There are some people, of course, who are doing that, but I think that's what it feels like to me at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. And on a good note, Trev released some positive signals. So Trev mentioned more encouraging economic news recently. So lowering borrowing costs could be coming. Canada's economy showing some strength, and potential infrastructure spending could boost confidence. So it's
I don't know how I feel about this type of news because
yeah,
when the pandemic came out and they cut the interest rates, they said they would keep the interest rates cut for a long time.
it's
So,
positive news, but I think they're uh, trying to be optimistic and maybe keep uh, consumers a little more at ease. Like
yeah,
there's
but
something to look forward to.
they're always going to be optimistic then. Then we won't ever know when the bad stuff. I guess
Very
the I
sorry because they said lowering borrowing costs could be coming,
yeah,
but I also heard that there is a chance it could rise like a few
higher.
points.
Well, a
Yeah,
few points is a lot in borrowing costs.
yeah. So
I don't know. Because before the pandemic, the interest rates were higher than the pandemic happened, and then lower borrowing costs came. Zero-ish interest rates came. So,
I
uh,
remember one of our, speaking of rates, I remember one of our Monday morning meetings that we had with the office. They brought in a mortgage broker to speak to us, and he
yeah,
was saying that over the last 60 years or something, um, don't quote me exactly on this, but he was saying something around in the last 60 years that the average interest rate was around 5%. So we're actually below the statistical average right
yeah,
now. So he was saying, if you look at it that way, it's kind of kind
yeah.
of
But
positive.
it's hard to compare because I don't remember a point ever in our lifetime where interest rates that I remember. Obviously, I didn't keep track of interest rates so much later in life.
In the
Um,
1990s when you were a
yeah, when I was a baby, I was like one, two, three interest rates.
they
No,
talk about the 1990s being almost at, I think it was like 18% or something crazy.
that's what I mean. I don't remember ever a time when interest rates were double digits unless it was for credit cards.
Yeah, that's a
So
good point. The credit cards will always be double digits.
yeah, yeah, it'll probably only increase.
Yeah.
What
Okay,
did?
so
Yeah, go ahead.
you had anything else to add to that, or?
Not relevant to it. So
Okay. So breakdown by home type year over year price change. So again, this is by home type, but the entire GTA. So detached homes fell -8%. Semi-detached homes fell -7.6%. Townhomes fell -7.4%. And condo apartments fell -3.8%. I found this actually really interesting because I would have thought that condos would have fell a lot more than the other home types.
is this the number of sales or the percent of sales?
It's the percentage of the price.
Oh, the percentage of the price.
Yeah. So
Huh.
from November 2025,
Yeah.
uh, like from November 2024 to 2025, detached homes have dropped 8%, semi-detached 7.6, townhomes 7.4, and condo apartment 3.8. So in the last year, condos actually fell less than detached homes, which was pretty surprising to me.
I don't think I what I think is in my interpretation of that data is condos were following first and they hit what I think is their bottom or their soft bottom. I don't know if it's a soft or hard bottom yet, but let's just say their bottom for now. They hit it first because last year in 2024, I believe the house prices were still rising and condos were the ones that were going down.
Yeah,
Whereas now I think now the
yeah.
houses caught
I
up to
remember semi-detached were specifically were doing well.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think
Okay.
that's what's kind of happening. I think if we know condos are going up, it could be like somewhat of a little indicator that houses might also. Uh, but it's hard to say because I think a house might be a better investment.
Also, the price point of a detached home is quite high. So,
Oh yeah, oh
I
yeah.
mean, no one could really afford. Let me just pull up quickly the average price. The average price of a detached home as of November 2025 in the 416 area,
Hmm.
so in Toronto, is $1,545,941. That's crazy.
Wait, where's
Consider
this from?
this is from Trev. So that's the
1.5?
that's the average price of a detached home in the 416 area. So that's all of Toronto. So
Yeah, yeah.
obviously, like there's a lot of pockets. For instance, Wexford, Maryville, borderline Scarborough, North York. I just looked. The average price for a detached home as of last month was 850,000. So there's still opportunities to get like a wartime bungalow or something with not a crazy amount of work for under $1 million, but
Yeah,
just the whole as itself for detached homes, it's still 1.5 million.
yeah, but like, for example, there's probably like three or five bungalows that are 800, or actually no, there's probably like 10 bungalows that are at 800K, but there's two houses that are at 10 million, which will bring up the average a lot,
Exactly.
you
But that's
know? So
also
it
why I
looks,
think the breakdown by home type year over year price change. That's also why I think detached fell 8% versus
makes sense.
condos 3.8% because the prices are higher, so it would make
Yeah,
sense that the percentage in drop was also higher. That's what I would think.
to some extent, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it, yeah, yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So inventory and days on the market. So inventory, there's the active listings were up 16.8% this time last year. So there's more choices for buyers and less pressure on prices. And the average days on the market is around 56 days, so slightly higher than last year. And it's showing that homes are taking longer to sell. So they kind of go hand in hand. Increase of active listings and longer days on the market.
Yeah, well, we see that, so we know that's true.
Especially for condos.
Yeah, yeah.
That
But
number might be even higher because that's average days on the market again for all home types in
yeah,
the
yeah,
GTA. So it's almost 2 months.
yeah. Well,
Remember in 2021, 2022, you put a listing up within 1 day, 2 days, 17 offers and done.
yeah, those were such different days.
This feels better in a way though. Like it makes more sense.
It's probably healthier, but it all, like, how it feels is relative to each person's situation. To someone who's just struggling to get by, this might be the worst time ever. But to someone who's doing well, this might be such a bargain and a blessing. It just
That's a
depends.
good point. And yeah, that's actually a very good point, especially depending what side of the fence you're on, if you're a seller or buyer, because there's a lot of sellers that I personally know that bought a home in 2021, 2022. Their
Yeah.
lifestyle has changed drastically, whether they're having a baby or they're changing jobs. They need to move now. They either need to upsize or downsize or move the area. And now they're trying to sell their house, but they're having a really hard time. So those days on the market every day makes a huge difference for them, and it could cost them thousands of dollars the more time that goes on, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sad actually, especially if you're on a tight timeline now, you need to sell your home, and now days on the market are increasing, so you kind of feel like you're getting more desperate and you're trying to lower the price, but then you're lowering the price from when you bought at the peak of 2022, and now you're losing literally thousands of dollars. So
Well, I
it's
think that's where it gets tricky, right? Everyone thinks they compare their house to the peak, right? But your house is not
and
the
how
peak.
they envisioned it when they bought it for, you know, $1.3 million, but now maybe it's worth a million.
Well, yeah, they probably bought it at 1.3 thinking it's going to be 1.8 or 1 point, no, 1.6. And now it's 1.1 or 1. So,
I remember on my parents' street, just off of my parents' street, like these are wartime bungalows that were built in the 1950s. They
yeah.
should have not been selling for more than 1.1 million. And I remember this house, it wasn't even nice at all. It sold for 1.6 million and we were
Oh my
just
God.
done. Yeah, it made absolutely no sense at all. And now that home there is probably worth about a million.
But now
Like
I
it
think it's
dropped.
the opposite, you
Yeah.
know? Now I think you're getting things for cheaper that shouldn't be selling for that cheap. Whereas before you were
Yeah.
getting for more expensive.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Okay, so Treb has some economic indicators that are worth mentioning. So GDP in the second quarter of 2025 was down negative 1.6%, which was indicating a weaker economy.
Okay.
Employment is up slightly, 0.5%.
Okay.
Unemployment is at 8.9%. Inflation is at 2.4%, so it's cooling. Bank of Canada overnight rate is at 2.3%. The prime rate is at 4.7%. So these are some pretty good numbers worth mentioning, I'd say.
They're good numbers. It's just 8.9% unemployment rate is a pretty high unemployment rate.
Yeah.
It's not that healthy.
And they say inflation is cooling, but it does not feel like it.
Well, it's not rising. So
Yeah.
there's that. So I guess it's cooling.
I heard on the radio recently actually they're going to increase the prices of groceries by I think approximately 7% next year, 2026.
Yeah.
And then they say the uh, the two top items that are going to rise the most, beef
Yeah.
and coffee. I said, yeah, of course, what everyone wants, right? How
Yeah.
much coffee gets sold every single day? I'm not a huge coffee drinker. Like I'll drink it once a month or something.
Yeah.
But I have family that drinks it, every day. Like they just a cup of
Well, I
coffee a
mean, look
day,
at Tim Hortons. It's the same people that go there every day for the most
every
part.
day, or Starbucks or any of these coffee shops.
Exactly.
So go figure. Oh, let's put up coffee for everyone and beef. Two things that people really enjoy and really want.
I wonder how they're going to orchestrate raising that price. Because normally prices, I assumed, were set by like the farmers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know how that works exactly, but they said the average Price for a family of four to do groceries next year will be around 17,400 or something. It was something like that, 17,000 something. I don't know the exact number, but
That's pretty expensive.
yeah, it's pretty expensive for a family of
But
four. And that's kind of subjective too to how much you eat. But they say the average.
well, think about it this way, man. If it was your family, right, and we replaced you and your brother with two little 100-pound girls or 100-pound guys, you're gonna eat a lot less food.
Yeah, I
It's gonna
feel
be
like
a
I eat
totally
for
different
at least
grocery
two
bill.
people every day. So
Yeah, I could too, I think, but it's hard to prove.
we'll have to do a podcast one day, just having an eating competition.
An eating competition. I don't know. Lance might win.
If he comes on the
Yeah,
show. Where are you,
yeah.
Lance? Wake up.
Well, he might be busy. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Okay.
Um,
So the
any more?
end of this, what this all means. So the market is softening, but not collapsing. Prices are down, sales down, listings up. So it's more of a balanced market. They're still not considering a buyer's market. Uh, Buyers who have been waiting might see better opportunities heading into 2026 if borrowing costs ease, and condos are still the most budget-friendly segment. So overall, they're saying the market's balanced, but depending on the segment of the market, I would
Yeah,
strongly suggest that condos are in a buyer's market right now.
I would say it feels more like they're in a buyer's market. But based off last week and looking at some condos that I was interested in, it seemed like some of the nice condos, they're still receiving offers. Because the
Wow.
ones I booked and looked at, they were getting offers. So some of it is just a pricing and marketing strategy, I think. And the really nice ones, they go at any time if they're priced right.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense. I One last thing on this the Trev market stats for November 2025. Uh, they mentioned something about bridging the gap between like a single family detached home and a condo. So trying to build more townhomes, which I think is the sweet spot for people right now. Like that 3 bed, 2 bath townhome where you could start a family, uh, live there for a while, and then maybe upsize. It's also good for downsizers, small backyard, uh, a small garage with 2 or 3 parking spots. I think the government made a huge mistake previous to COVID and during COVID when they pushed the condo build so heavily when we
yeah,
have so much untouched land, and they could have easily okay, maybe they're not going to build those wartime bungalows like they did in the 1950s in Scarborough where they have a 40 by 125-foot lot, right? But they could have built thousands of condos or sorry, townhomes
yeah,
and kind of bridge that gap
yeah.
for
But I
people, right?
think I think you're looking at a very specific type of people, like the people that want to be in townhomes. But
Yeah.
you're also forgetting that there's people that they would never live in a townhouse or a house. They would only live in condos because they don't want to deal with the lifestyle. For example, I'm partial to living in a condo. I might live in a house, but I prefer a condo because I don't have to shovel my driveway. The car is clean. I don't have to worry about garbage or pests for the most part. I mean, you can still get them, but
Yeah.
and
That's
security.
true. That's true. I guess the people that I'm talking to are more uh, looking for to bridge that gap, right?
Yeah,
Uh, I'm 29, so a lot of my circle right now, they're getting married, they're starting to have
sure.
kids. They they can't afford necessarily a detached home, and they don't want to be in a condo. Or some of them are okay with condos, but the space isn't.
Well,
big
that's what
enough.
I'm saying. Then you're forced into a townhouse. You actually do want a house, but you know it's not feasible. Therefore, now your townhouse is your priority,
Pretty
right?
much. Yeah.
Because I feel like most of the people that want townhouses actually want a house, but they
That's a
know
good
it's
point.
not.
That was me. That's how I was.
Yeah, I
uh,
mean that's. I like townhouses, to be honest. I like townhouses because it's not as much space to maintain. So,
yeah, definitely. And you still feel like you're in a house
yeah, it's the same.
because it's freehold and you still gotta some townhomes now they don't even make backyards. That I
That's what
noticed
I'm
the new
saying.
builds, but a lot of them still have. So
Well, some townhouses now are basically structured as condos. Like they look
yeah,
like townhouses, but they're actually
or
occupied
those
condos.
stacked townhomes where
Yeah,
they're like on top of each other. I'm like, come on, that's
yeah,
a condo.
that's a condo. Yeah.
That's a condo. Okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about the historical
Oh,
data. Do
let
you
me,
have that graph to pull up?
let me try. Oh no. Um,
So basically, there's a graph, the annual average
can
TREP
you,
MLS system sale price. Oh, there we go. Awesome. So this is the historical market stats
yeah,
from the 1975 to 2025. So 35 years, right? I believe.
yeah,
Yeah, 35 years. So if you look at this chart, what I find very interesting because the big talk that a lot of my clients and a lot of discussions I'm having with friends and family is the magic question that everyone wants to know. Will the market crash more um, than it already is? A lot of people still think there's room for prices to drop, and then other people think prices are going to come skyrocketing again in 2026. No one can predict it, but it's still a very interesting discussion to have. So I was thinking of this personally for myself, what my thoughts are,
yeah.
and I pulled up this graph that Treb gives us, which is very helpful visual. And I was thinking to myself, basically, I'm just going to think out loud right now what I was thinking. So if you could see here in 1975, prices went up, and they pretty steadily went up year over year up until 1989, and it hit a peak of, which is hard to believe, $273,698 for the average price of a home, again in the GTA for across all home types. So that was in 1989, hit that peak, and then there started to be a downward trend in prices. So year over year, for the span of 7 years until 1996, it hit a bottom of 198,317. So basically, in the span of those 7 years, prices dropped 27.54%. So that's a pretty big drop in
Yeah,
seven
it's a pretty
years.
problem.
And then how many years it took to get back to that peak of 1989, right? It took probably 4 or 5 years just to get back up to that price. And then for 20 years straight, there was an increase of prices year over year, pretty much. And then there was a 1 year dip in 2018. That's when I first started real estate, actually, just before that. And
Okay.
then there was a 4 year rise to the peak of 2022, which was obviously the highest peak we've ever had in history of the the Toronto real estate market. And that average price was $1,193,771. So that was the peak of 2022. And then over the span of the last 3 years, it's continued on a downward trend. And year to date, 2025, the average price of a home is at $1,071,757. So in the span of the last 3 years, there is a 10.22% drop. So I found this very interesting, and just off the top of my head, I was asking myself the question that everyone's been talking about: will prices continue to drop or will prices go back up? And the way I thought of it was, if history repeats itself, there's really only three options that could happen. Either A, history repeats itself like it did 30 years ago, and prices, let's say, get worse than the span of 7 years. So if the biggest drop we've had in the last 35 years was 27%, and we're at 10%, then that means either A, we have another 4 or 5 years or more of prices dropping, which I feel like is the least likely option considering the increase of population that we have and the demand for housing still. So that's option one. Option two is history could exactly mirror what happened 30 years ago. So if that's the case, we're at year three, then we have 4 more years to go before it hits that bottom like it did in the 90s. And then option two is now we've pretty much hit the bottom and we're going to start rising again. So I think, or sorry, option three, but I think it's more likely to
There's
start
another option.
rising.
There's another option. The
What's
other
another?
option is we stay flat for a while.
That's true. That's true.
I think we're going to be flat for a little while, to be honest.
Interesting.
Because if
Okay.
you look in 1995, I don't know if you can see my cursor,
Yeah.
but in 1995, like all the way from here to here, it was basically flat.
Yeah.
And I know we talk about prices rising in 4 years, 5 years, or 7 years, but to the average consumer, all that matters is, can I afford it this year? Can I afford it this year? Can I afford it this year or that year? Um, a lot of the big problems happen when they go up like this or go down, because then they can't afford the great increases in price or decreases in price that they committed to, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
That's a good point. So, what do you think for all the buyers out there looking to buy? What's your personal take on this? Like, do you think it's a good time to buy? The the way I see it is, if we've been on a downward trend for 3 years, I think if you're looking long term, I think it still is a good time to buy because eventually it's going to surpass the peak of 2022 uh, based on the historical data that we have. It's
That's
always
that's
there.
assuming that everything that happened in the past will continue to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's most likely going to
The
go
question is how
right.
long, right? That's the.
Exactly. That's the real question. Um,
But if you still buy now, and you're looking long term and you can afford to buy,
what
then
about
there still looks like there's gains to happen. But I guess it depends how long
yeah,
people are willing to wait or what they're.
what about selling right now? Do you think it's a good idea to sell right now?
I think it's a good idea to buy or sell in any market if you have to.
Well, like, because that was going to be my answer when you asked me what my personal opinion is. I'm like, in any market, it can be good to buy or sell. It just depends on your situation. Like,
Yeah,
if you can find good deals right now, or good investments, or you can find your dream home that you can actually secure and that might make you and your family happy, then yeah, go after it. But if you can't, just wait, because there's plenty of opportunity. There's more properties coming on the market every day. You don't need to worry too much. Wait till you're ready and you're stable and you can handle it both financially and mentally.
yeah. I'm worried about the consumer that's a first time home buyer, and I'm I'm worried that maybe some people will wait too long. Like they could afford to buy right now, they want to buy, they're
Yeah.
looking long term, right? And then they're
So,
like, no, I think prices are going to keep dropping. Which, yeah, maybe it could, but what if it doesn't? And then you,
well, then they lose. They lose
uh,
their bet because
that's the thing,
essentially,
right? It's like it's kind of a gamble, so it depends on your personality too, right? I wasn't really willing to take that gamble. I said, okay, prices are down 3 years in a row. Let me jump in the market. I can afford to right now. I have the opportunity, so let me just jump in. And if prices go down a little, that's okay. I'm looking long term and wait it out, and then I'm pretty sure, based on the 35 years of data, that prices are going to rise again. So even if I make a small gain, I'd rather make a small gain than no gain at all and lose.
well,
That was
also
kind of my
that,
thought.
and you're paying off your property while you're living there, and you have a property that you actually want. So you've
Definitely.
kind of won in a way, even if it doesn't go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even let's say it doesn't go up, right? In the span of the next 10, 20, 30, whatever years, you will pay off that property and you won't be paying rent to anyone. You'll have ownership. You can move out and then you can rent it to other people. Um, it's pretty decent to be a homeowner without having to worry too much about if the price is going to go up in 3, 5, 7 years.
Yeah. That's true. I always try to think of it in terms of stocks because I find it's easier for my brain to process
Yeah, but
everything.
the thing is, when you talk about it, you're very disciplined and you're very healthy. So you don't actually take the risks that typically the people who talk about stocks, and they take crazy risks on these stocks and they shouldn't be doing those kind of risks on real estate in my.
Yeah,
So
I agree with that. I'm just saying in terms of like to process the prices in my head.
conceptually, yeah, I
If
understand
you
conceptually you're correct.
Yeah, because if you buy, let's say you invest in an ETF or a stock, you buy 100 shares of a stock, and now it drops, um, or let's say prices of stocks drop 10%. Now you buy 100 shares of that stock, okay? And then prices drop even more, 5%, and you just hold. And
Yeah.
then now prices come up 30%. You still gain 15%. You know what I'm trying to say? Whereas if
Yeah,
you
but the
buy at the
difference,
peak and
yeah,
then it comes down, it's going to take much longer for it to rise. Or if prices come down 10% and then you don't jump in at all and you wait and now
yeah,
prices start to climb, you've lost. So it's really hard to time that peak and time that bottom. So for
I
me,
don't, I don't
anywhere
even
in
think,
between
yeah,
is a good time to buy,
yeah, but
assuming long term.
peaks and bottoms are constantly happening. They're constantly being set and reset, right? Um, so I don't think you can time peaks and bottoms, to be honest, by just necessarily looking at it. So that's why I don't like, because I consider it speculation,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I'm not super interested in helping people speculate that way because it's dangerous, and I don't want anyone to put themselves in. Because the thing is, in stocks, you can trade stocks and try and get your peaks and bottoms, but you can do that with an account of $500 or even $30 with fractional shares and see how good you are at it. I don't think you should be doing it on $1,070,000 purchase.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're looking for a straight investment, yeah, that's a whole other different topic. I'm just
Well,
thinking
I
of
mean,
the,
if we're buying real estate and we're relating it to stocks and we're talking about buyer mentality, you got to be, you got to make the separation. Because stocks are, like, for example, if you had stocks and you had an emergency, let's say you got sick and you needed to get, I don't know, an inhaler or something and you can't afford it, you could sell your stocks during the Monday to Friday and then buy your inhaler. But you can't do that with a house because you don't know when that's going to sell or not.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. I think I'm thinking of just the everyday uh, buyer looking to buy long term, to
Yeah, I understand.
yeah.
Um, it's just also like I also like remember like like the people that watch this and be like, oh, these guys are always gonna say you should buy, buy, buy. I'm like, man, no, I don't care if you
The
want to
best
buy
time
yourself.
to buy was 20 years ago, and the second best time to buy is now, right?
Yeah,
It's like
if you
anything in
can get a
life,
good
though.
deal, if you can get something that makes sense, yes, you
The
can buy some
reason
terrible
why I
things.
feel like I'm so heavy on telling people like it's a good time to buy, I think personally, is because I get the question so much in my
Yeah,
personal network of people where they're like, I want to buy, I want to buy, I want to buy, I want to start a family. Like I'm getting the same conversation
yeah,
happening. So I'm like, well, just buy then, right? Just buy. If you could afford to buy and you want to, then just buy. If you can't, then save up some more money, and the prices might come down more, the prices might come up. No one could guarantee, but just if you really desire to purchase, then just do it.
yeah. But you're also like getting these from like say friends or family that you know well, and you're having these experiences. People on the internet, we have no idea. Maybe they shouldn't be trying to buy.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I
I,
mean, I guess it really depends. If That's why, uh, you know, don't go in blind when you buy, right? But
well, I mean, that's half the battle of doing the research
yeah,
yourself, finding
if it,
yourself a good realtor or
yeah,
a specialist. That's that's the difficult part, and what could make your life substantially easier. Just like
yeah,
finding yourself a good assistant, a good driver, or anything else.
yeah, exactly. Like when I go out with clients to do showings, I oftentimes I actually tell them, "Don't buy this. I wouldn't buy it."
Yeah, I do too. That's like my hints,
Yeah,
but if you take them or not, that's up to you.
yeah, right. So it depends. I think you got to really know what you want and what you need, and if you're in a position where you could afford to do it without putting yourself at so much risk, because it obviously is.
Yourself or others at so much risk.
Yeah, it's a big financial obligation. So sometimes maybe it's better to rent, right? In certain circumstances, it's definitely not just always about buy, buy, buy. I'm
Well, I
just
think for a lot of people in the GTA, where the prices are so high, it's probably better for them to rent till they can comfortably afford buying.
exactly.
Now,
I
if
just
you're somewhere in rural Canada where the house prices are like 70,000 or 110,000, maybe you should just buy it if you're going to stay there 10 years or 5 years.
exactly. There's nothing wrong with renting, nothing at all, right? If it fits your game plan accordingly. I just don't like to hear like media headlines and stuff where there people are saying like, "Oh, we'll never be able to buy," or we're never going to get our foot in the market. So things like that.
Yeah, but
Uh,
that's always going to happen, man. People are going to say the market's been crashing for the last 20 years. They've been saying that. It's going to crash. It's going to crash. That's why I'm not buying. And now after it's crashed, it's like, I'm going to wait till it shows some confidence. I'm like, okay, man. So you'll just constantly be doing one thing behind what's happening.
I just think it's sad when people start to believe that they can't do something, but they're saying that they want to do something, right? It's like I like to support people's dreams. So if they're saying I want to buy, but I feel like I can never buy, then I'm like, no. you're going to buy and you're going to do it now. Let's go.
Okay. Well, I like your optimism. You should be my realtor.
Well,
um,
it's just a matter of coming up with a game plan. You know, it's not. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, right?
no, no, no.
It might be really hard. It is really hard, and I'm not discounting that. It definitely is very, very difficult for people, and the economy's hurting, and it's not, the most ideal situation. But at the same time, sometimes it's like it is what it is, right? So
Mm,
let's jump in and like you said earlier, at least you pay your mortgage down and you have something, right?
yeah, and you have something you can leave behind,
Yeah.
at least
If
for now.
that's what you want. Or if you just want to travel the world and whatever, that's cool too.
Yeah.
There's nothing
All
wrong.
right. We did 45 minutes. I think we had a good session. Do you want to say anything else, or should we just end it here?
Oh, that's good. Do we still see your face when we have the chart up or no?
I have no idea. I don't know any of these things till after the fact
Okay. Well,
because
now
I don't haven't tested them. We'll see.
we'll see.
All right. Cheers, guys. Have a good day and good luck with everything.
And maybe Lance will be back next time.